everybody. Welcome to Dandelion Cottage and Paper Crafting Saturday. Happy 4th of July. I'm Leslie Watkins, and today we're going to have part 2 from Watercolor Wednesday. If you remember, on Wednesday we painted this. Get that on the screen there, okay? So I'm going to turn you down. So this is the watercolor that was painted on Wednesday. This was just a quick, loose, fast, light watercolor for a overall image that we could use to decorate something. So today I'm going to show you how to make a gift box that we're going to use this to decorate with. So the first thing is I have 2 pieces of paper. These are 12 by 12. So this is the Misty Moonlight and the Bumblebee. Okay. And I selected these colors to go with our pattern, and I think you can see that that looks really pretty. And I love these yellow and blue combinations in the summertime. It reminds me of Provence and all of those beautiful textiles that come out of the south of France. And even though we painted these nepitas, they could also be lavender, and right now I've got lavender blooming in my garden, which is making me very happy. Alright, so what we're going to do is taking the trimmer, I'm going to cut this down to 9 3/4. So this is 9 3/4, but because this is going to be the bottom of my box, I'm going to scooch it over a 1/16 of an inch smaller. Okay, and that's just to make the lid fit nicely. So it's 9 3/4 of an inch less a 1/16. So I'm going to do that on that side, and then this is going to measure 12. But again, I'm going to move that over just a little bit, a 1/16 of an inch, and I'm just going to remove this much. Okay, so you can see how precise you can get with this trimmer. One of the reasons why I like it so much. All right, so that's the bottom of the box. Top of the box is going to be blue. So this one I am going to cut at 9 3/4 and keep it right there at 9 3/4. And I'm going to save these strips. These would make great tags. Now for the top of the box, I'm going to score it on all 4 sides at 1 inch and again at 2 inches. And when you're scoring a long piece like this, just check to make sure that the bottom edge is lining up with your line on your grid here, because sometimes it can be off a little bit, so you just want to check that. So does everybody have plans today for 4th of July? I know I'm going to be barbecuing later today. I'm excited about that. First one of the year. I had a bear on my front porch again last night. This time it was a good sized one, not that little one. It wasn't the biggest one I've seen, but big enough. So I have a cowbell, and I was in bed watching TV, and I heard a funny little noise, and I listened, and I heard it again, and I was like, uh-oh, that doesn't sound good. So I turned on the light and looked. Oh, on the bottom of the box, we're going to score it just at 2. See, I was busy talking. I almost scored it at 1. No, just at 2 all around on all 4 sides. So anyway, so I turned on the porch light to see, and sure enough, there was this giant dark shape on my porch, and what he was after were some seeds. And I'm not talking bird seeds, I'm talking about seeds from my vegetable garden. And he had gotten into, I think he got into the beet seeds. I have to check that. But I opened the door and I started growling and yelling at him, and he or she took off down the steps, and then I rang my cowbell. My neighbors, I'm sure, think I'm crazy, but that's nothing new. And off he went. Okay, so now here's the bottom of our box. And the next thing I'm going to do is on the short side, I'm just going to cut straight up on this score line to the intersection of those 2 score lines. And then I'm going to remove a little wedge on each side, just like that. And the same thing here. You know, I'm very careful. I don't leave any kind of bird food out once the bears are up. I don't leave garbage around. The chicken feed is all locked away. So I don't get that many bears here, but it really is remarkable how absolutely keen their sense of smelling is. Because there weren't that many seeds out there. I'm talking about a little tiny packet of seeds. And he or she had to make some effort to find its way up to my porch to locate that tiny little packet of seeds. So, very important, folks. If you live in a place with bears, don't leave things around. Okay, now here on the lid of the box, I'm going to do the same thing, but now you can see that we have a little group of, we have 1 square with 4 squares within it. So here, also on the short side, I'm going to cut straight up. On both of those, and then I'm going to remove this section, and I'm cutting this at an angle at the same time. That leaves me with that, and I'm just going to remove this square. So now I've got a kind of a stepped design here, and I'm just going to angle that, and then do that. All right, and then I'm just going to do that all corners. Repeat the same thing. Just straight, very straight up through here. Slight angle. Cut this square away. Slight angle here. And then angling this tab right there. Okay. So it looks like this. And now I'm going to take my bone folder and I'm going to give these a really nice crease. And this is where the bone folders really are important. If you don't have a bone folder, you can use a spoon or some other smooth, slightly curved surface. But this beautiful edge is what's going to give the box its form. So you want to make sure that it's really nicely done. There we go. And the same thing on the bottom. And stay tuned till the end of the video because I have a special announcement to make. If you'd like to learn more about my online classes, please go to dandelioncottagedesign.com and subscribe to Notes. And on the 1st of every month, you will receive a copy of Notes to your email box, and it will list all of the upcoming classes for that month. So this month, for the month of July, I have a beginning watercolor class for people who are just starting out or people who have always wanted to watercolor, maybe already have a few things but want to know how to get started on the right foot. So please, this is an excellent class for anybody who wants to get started with watercolor. And you can learn more about that in Notes. So again, subscribe to Notes at Dandelion Cottage Design, and you'll be able to see the upcoming classes and to register through that link. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the stamp seal, and this is a new product, and I'm just going to run this on my tabs. Like so. So 2 little strips. And then I'm just going to get that corner nice and even. And then tuck these in. Just like so. And then using my bone folder, I'm going to press that down, make sure that that's all adhered well. And there's the bottom of our box, and you can see it's a very nice size. And where's my ruler here? So this measures 8 inches by 6 inches, and it's 2 inches deep. Now for the lid, I'm going to do the same thing with these little tabs. A couple of little bits of glue. Fold those corners in so they're nice and neat. I think I need a little more glue on this one I missed. You can just neaten up any little bits that are poking out. All right. Now for the top flap, instead of using the seal, I'm going to use my liquid glue. And I'm just going to, I know you can't see this very well right now, but I'm just running that along the top flap in there. Fold that over, give it a good burnish. Remember, when you're using the liquid glue, you want to burnish it well to have a nice even distribution. Spread it out for good adherence and to avoid any bumps. And I'm not going too close to the edges. I'm staying, giving them a nice distance so that the glue doesn't ooze out the sides. And this makes for a very nice, sturdy, reinforced box. And I love reinforced boxes. I like it when they feel nice and sturdy and they don't bend and wobble and feel like they're about to come apart. So I always try to take the extra step to do this. And especially, you know, if you're going to be decorating one of your boxes with a watercolor, you want a good quality box because you've already made an original painting. And as a fine artist, I really like these papers and cardstocks that that Stampin' Up! Provides because they're all archival. So they're not going to yellow, the colors aren't going to change in time, they're not going to disintegrate. And the dye color of the inks that they use to color the cardstock is all the way through. It's not just on the surface. And actually that's how I originally found out about Stampin' Up. I was looking to make a box for Christmas ornaments, and I was going to the local stores and getting cardstock, and I was having terrible results. And it was Stampin' Up that provided the materials that met my criteria. So there's our box. The lid fits perfectly. Okay. So now what we're going to do next is we're going to, we meaning me, and you giving me moral support here, is to take, select an area, and I'm looking at this area here. I think we'll use that. And I want this, I've got a straight edge on here already, and the width of the box is, as I just said, well, now the lid is 5.5. So I'm going to measure 5 by 7.5. So there's my 5. Go trim this a little bit. Seven and a half. The trimmer has an arm that expands to 17 inches, so it's extremely useful. Now you see all these little pieces are great for card decorations. Now let's just check this. I think I can trim a little more off. Yeah. I'm going to take another 1/4 inch. So I'm going to make this 7 1/4, because I'm also going to cut a mat for it. So let's just see what this looks like. There we go. All right, so here is a piece of Bumblebee. I'm going to measure this at well, let's see. So now I'm going to stop to think. Do I want a thin border or a thick border? I think I've got room here for 5 1/4. 5 1/4 by 7.5. So let's try that. So cut the 5 1/4 first. Seven and a half. Now, you know, depending on your image or your design, you may want more or less border. But I think this is going to look nice here, like so. So that's my top. Now I want to add a piece to the bottom, and I'm going to measure again. Measure twice, cut once. I think this will be 5 1/4 also. by 7.5. Excuse me. Okay, 5.25 by 7.5. So that's our bottom with a nice little edge. And then inside the box, I want to add some of our pattern, but I want this to fit exactly. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to square. You remember we folded and tore these pages, so I just want to make sure I have a nice square edge. So I'm going to remove a sliver off of here. This edge on the top was already cut. So now this is where the measurements are important. So I'm measuring near the corners. I'll do it this way. So that's 7.75 or 7.75 by 5.5. So here's 5.5. Seven and 3/4, and then the same thing with this color, 5.5. Seven and 3/4. And then this one, I'm going to make a little bit smaller. So this is going to be seven and a half by, check my measurements again. Five and a half, so this is 5.25. I'm going to do that twice. 5.25. Okay, now we assemble. So I'm going to put this one in here. So I'm going to begin by adhering my watercolor to the blue base. And that gives it just a beautiful, beautiful little border. And all these additional layers that I'm adding to the box are going to add to the rigidity of it and the sturdiness. There we go with that. Same thing here. Just get that where you want it. Now, to burnish a layer inside a box like this, I use a clear block and just give that a nice rub to move that glue around. So that's the inside of the bottom. Here's our top. All of the products that I'm using today will be listed after I publish the video and add all of the information into the description, so you can check back in a little bit. And there's a great promotion going on right now that for every $50 of product that you buy, you get a $5 bonus coupon. So that's an additional 10% off. And there's no limit, and that promotion just runs for this month. And you can use your $5 coupons to shop in August. Now in August, I'm going to be holding a summer stamp camp. So this is going to be kind of a mini retreat, and there will be lots of projects, both watercolor and paper crafting, and I'm hoping to have a special guest instructor who will help us with a little calligraphy. And if you're out there listening to this, I think you know who you are. Okay, so there's our lid. There's our box. And now this is the top of the box. So to find out more about the summer stamp camp in August, subscribe to Notes at Dandelion Cottage Design, and you will get all the information you need to register and see the full lineup of events. And there's going to be all kinds of prizes and giveaways and special little gifts. So it's really going to be special. Now I really like the way this is coming out. The with all of these 5 layers of cardstock and watercolor paper on the lid, it's got a really nice hefty feel. This is a box that if you decide to give it away to somebody as a gift, that they will keep for a long time. There we go. Now, for the last thing, on the bottom of the box, I'm going to take my seal, make sure that little plastic strip is in the center of your roller, and I'm just going to roll a little strip across there like so. Now I have some ribbon, and unfortunately this ribbon is retired. This is the crushed curry seam binding ribbon, but I had some left over, and it matched the painting so well that I didn't want to use anything else but this, because I really love this ribbon. I'm just going to snip a little end off of that, and I'm making sure I've got plenty long tails. And now what I'm doing is I'm just finding the center, so folding it in half, and now I'm going to press that right in the middle of my glue, just like that. It's a little crooked. Let's get that straight. There we go. That's better. And here's the final piece of cardstock. That's Otello at my kitchen door. He can hear me talking. He thinks I'm talking to him. Okay. Get those nice and flat. And that's the bottom of our box. I'm just going to give that a good burnish. When you do this, make sure that your block is nice and clean, that it doesn't have any ink on the sides. And by adhering your ribbon to the bottom of the box like this, you don't have to worry about it getting loose and falling off and getting lost. So everything's all together in one nice little package. So that's what the box looks like. But before I tie it up, I want to show you what you can put inside of your box. Let me just do a little cleanup here. I can make a cute tag for the box using some of these scraps. So this box will very nicely hold the following. It will hold a stamp set. It'll hold a package of the Fluid 100 watercolor paper. It'll hold an ink pad, a clear block, and a set of water painters. And somebody, some lucky winner, during the summer stamp camp coming up in August, is going to win this box with these gifts. It will not be that particular stamp set. It'll be a different stamp set and probably a different color ink pad and maybe a couple of other little things. But there you have it. A beautiful box to hold a set of wonderful stamp and watercolor supplies. So I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a great barbecue today. Stay away from the bears. Make lots of boxes. Paint your beautiful flowers. Stay creative, stay well, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for joining me.